Mayor Matt Hubbard of the city of Sylacauga. And Matt, it's been a busy week for you guys. What's going on?
Yeah, well, we had, of course, we had Martin Luther King weekend on a Monday and we were closed. So they actually pushed our meeting to Thursday, but where we had our regular meeting schedule, we came in and had our final work session related to the budget, and that allowed us to get the budget passed in last night's meeting. So,
You're happy, right?
Very, very much so. That's getting that budget passed represents a lot of man hours and a lot of energy, time, and thought put into that by, of course, our department heads who generate their respective budgets. And then, what I call our finance team or budget team, if you will, with Mr. John Ham, who, we brought in as a
He's been a real plus, hasn't he?
I'm gonna tell you, he's been a lifesaver, especially for me as a new mayor coming in, to have someone with his knowledge, expertise, that experience, and knowing what to look for, where to find it, those type things, and how it all fits within that budget. And then Ms. Lou Ann Anderson, and of course, interim city clerk, Ms. Cassie Epperson, to get that first budget cycle under your belt as a new mayor and have a surplus at the same time and be able to support everything that was asked for within appropriations and contracts and capital requests. I can't tell you what a great feeling that is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sylacauga Mayor Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning. We're going to get back to the budget in just a second. Do we have everybody in place in the mayor's office that we need in place? Any moving and shaking going on there?
Yeah, there's a little bit. Of course, we have some retirements, and of course, we'll follow the process for replacing those positions. And you never replace that institutional knowledge. We're losing a lot of institutional knowledge in our building services department. And so that's something that you don't replace, but you do want to replace with the best fit for that position as possible. And same way with an accountant or in accounting, just going through that process. And we've got some police positions to fill and things like that. But I was telling one of the council members after the meeting last night that right now, in this moment in time, you walk in City Hall and I'm not detecting any morale issues, any personal back and forth with employees. And right now, my assessment of that is it's healthy.
What do you attribute that to?
I don't know if it's, a change, just, change and those type things, and getting people. I've always said this, even when I worked in the school system, you hear that adage of getting the right people on the bus. There's a little more to it than that. You want to get the right people on the bus, sitting in the right seat next to the right people with the right driver on the right road. And so when you do that, then you begin to see and feel, what I get to see at City Hall on a daily basis. So it's just getting those key positions with the right people in it. And right now, I believe, we're at that spot. We do have some turnover, like I said, in building services that we're going to have to address, and just make sure that we get the very best candidate in those positions.
Getting back to the budget, which was finalized, I guess, yesterday, right?
Last night, yes, sir.
And talking about the budget, at my house, I've got a budget, but oftentimes that budget don't want to work the way I think it ought to work. It's the same way in a larger scale at City Hall.
It is, and learning the different intricacies, and I learned this, of course, through budgeting and public education. You have this funding source and this, and sometimes people don't understand. They say, well, you've got this amount of money sitting over here, why can't you do this? Well, it's because this funding source says this money has to be spent in a certain way. It's no different in municipal government. So like I said, having folks like Mr. John Ham, Miss Luann Anderson, and Miss Cassie Epperson, and the rest of the finance team just working and putting eyes on that. And those department heads, all of our department heads have a good number of years of experience. So that came through in the budget process as well. So, as far as balancing that out, you're looking at total revenues coming in, what we're paying out as far as personnel, contracts, and those things like that. And then what's left over, that's, where you start applying to the different requests and so forth. So,
prior administration was almost handcuffed with several lawsuits, and I don't know if all that is settled or not. Can you speak to any of that this morning?
Well, yes and no, to a degree I can. Some have been settled. Of course, there were still some coming down the pipe, and so we're dealing with those now, and hopefully will be rectified, in short order, hopefully. So, you inherit those things. All you can do as a new mayor is come in and learn as much as you can about the history of it, the facts of the situation, and then just try to move forward, and there are always processes, procedures you have to follow, and timelines associated to that. So those things just take time.
One thing that you didn't anticipate coming into office was facing sinkhole issues like we're dealing with here in town.
Yeah, and look, and I had to brag last night in my update to the city council. The first thing I spoke about was the Park Street situation with the sinkhole. And to have a front seat view of watching our utility board and our street department collaborate and work together, Sylacauga family, I can't tell you, because I'm a taxpayer citizen too, how reassuring it was still is to see these two entities working together, the amount of expertise and knowledge that's applied to that. And I wish I could put a monetary number to this on the amount of money that has saved us with this sinkhole situation at Park Street, because our people in-house, the utility board and street department, are going to be able to get this situation resolved, and hopefully with sinkholes, you hope that it's a permanent fix, but we're hoping, that this is going to be a long-term fix to that sinkhole, definitely with the road repair. And the amount of money that saved the city from having to go out and contract these services to come in and be done. Yeah, I'm telling you, we have good people doing good things for our city every day, and it's just very reassuring as a tax-paying citizen and a new mayor to see that.
Mayor, we taxpayers, we want to know why it wasn't repaired the same day it happened,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's always going to be the case, but it is what it is. You don't want to rush through anything like this, so yes, sir.
We've had a lot of questions about the weather and how it could adversely, and it looks like we're going to miss any bad icy weather or anything like that, but you guys prepare for a situation like that.
That's right, and I'm gonna say this as a person of faith, prayer warriors out there, keep praying that ice stays north of us, and pray for those folks who are in the line of this storm, because if you're say you're over 20, 30 years old, I know I'm 55, I've lived through 2 ice storms in my life, and I don't want to live through another one. Snow is one thing, it's beautiful, it's fun, kids can get out and have fun. In the South, we do a decent job on keeping the streets open and things like that with snow, but with ice, that's a whole nother beast. It shuts everything down. Think of, like a hurricane coming through, the power outages and the like. That's what I relate an ice storm to. So I'm very glad that the weather forecast changed, and it changed the rain for us. Now, we may deal with some flooding issues because we may get up to 3 to 4 inches, and hopefully that's spread out over a period of time to where we won't deal with much flooding. But very grateful right now, and hope that forecast stays to where it goes north of us and we just get the rain. Now, we will deal with the extremely cold temperatures, and I do want to take this opportunity to say that Mignon Baptist Church, they're going to open their doors at 4 p.m. on Sunday. So if you know anyone or if you need to be in a warming station, Mignon Baptist Church, 4 p.m. They'll close the doors at 8 p.m. and they'll offer that warming station as long as they need to through these cold temperatures.
Even though we're going to hopefully and prayerfully continue to be on the outside of the icing situation, it's going to be, as you mentioned, very cold. Any wet surface by Monday morning, it's going to be frozen, so you got to be careful out there still.
Yeah, in our street department, they're ready. They have the sand trucks ready and everything. They're ready to spread that out over our bridges and so forth. And, they can do a good job keeping the main roads open, but it's always those secondary roads, that are off in the shade where the sun doesn't hit, and that ice, takes a lot longer to melt and so forth. So I think we're going to be able to, keep, bridges okay and main roads to hospital, things like that. But just hope that we're not dealing with a whole lot of black ice type situations. So, yeah.
Last but not least, before we go, here we are finishing up the month of January in your brand new tenure, and speak for 60 seconds to the folks here in Sylacauga about what they expect in 26.
Well, we need a lot more than 60 seconds. We've got a lot on the agenda. I do have an overall plan as far as what I would like to see accomplished for the city of Sylacauga. I've been telling people with our situation at City Hall being much better than I anticipated. The way it was, presented to me was that, we were in chaos at City Hall. I've not observed that, and then we've had some tweaks here and there. And like I was saying earlier, I was telling, one of the council members last night, we've got a really good chemistry going right now at City Hall and a good pace. If the city council and I, if we can keep this pace going that we're working at right now, we will get a lot accomplished over 4 years, and we'll get a lot more accomplished in this first year than I originally anticipated. So it's in your first year, you're forming a lot of coalitions, a lot of networking, and so those things are going well right now. And just laying the foundation for, bigger actions on down the road. So I'm pleased at where we are right now as far as those efforts are going.
It's amazing how working together can get a lot of things done. Sylacauga Mayor Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning here on Daybreak. Mayor, always a pleasure, and thanks for dropping by. We'll see you again in a week or two, okay?